having me.
Well, it's not a problem, Josephine. Well, I guess we'll get right into it here. I wrote an article about you this week in your blog called Project Sunshine. Is that correct?
Yes, you did, and I thank you for that too.
Basically, the premise of your blog seems to me, I mean, there are lots of things that you write about there, but I was particularly interested in the writings you do about Africa because we never hear any good stuff coming out of Africa, and it was a breath of fresh air to hear some good things coming out of there, especially when you chastised the mainstream media for not giving a fair balance to that particular nation. So that was good to see. There's not enough of that. Would you not agree?
There's absolutely a need for news about Africa. There are a lot of people in North America who are keen on listening to news, positive news. Everybody likes the stories on the news about, the dog that got rescued or a kid that, won an award. Why would there be a need for stories like that all over the world, especially Africa?
Exactly.
And I think that there is a demand for it, and I think that the media and despite whatever conglomerates or organizations that people generally blame for this aspect, I definitely think that it's out there. It's the next frontier in terms of media and communication.
Yes, I agree with that. Of course, in the interview I did with you, you actually did seem to have some hope for Africa, which I thought was interesting because most people, when a discussion turns to Africa, they get kind of depressed.
Well, I think that the general maxim is that when it needs, it needs, and a lot of the news that we get out of Africa does need a lot. And like I mentioned in my blog, there are a lot of stories that highlight the famine and death and disease and those kinds of stories. And so there's not a lot of hope coming out of Africa right now if you were to go by major news reports of what's going on in Africa. But I do say that the hope that comes out of Africa is the incredible amount of support logistically, financially, in terms of human capital development, and a lot of people are interested in figuring out how to get beyond there's no hope to the point where they're actually going on with the people from Africa, as well as creating new partnerships with people here in North America and the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's very true. There's not enough good news, and I think on balance, there's not enough good news in general, but certainly not out of Africa. And it's good that you think there is some hope there. I think, again, one of those things I have to ask you again, what it is that inspires you to care so much about a nation that most people don't care about.
By a nation, do you mean Africa, or the EU about a specific country? I'm just sort of clarifying.
Well, I guess the country, because again, most people don't seem to care what goes on there.
Well, okay, let me sort of break down my caring perspective a little bit more. I think that there's a lot of people who don't know that Africa is actually composed of 60 plus independent, each have their own government, their own structures of systems of organizing. We have unique people, and the country that I'm most interested in is definitely in Kenya, where I spent a good portion of my life, and where I still have very strong ties. And there's at least 22 different ethnic communities.
Wow.
What people would traditionally call tribes in certain contexts. And I believe that there's a lot of hope in the people. I definitely spent a good portion of my educational career in Kenyan schools, and I understand that there's a lot that we learn about the rest of the world that doesn't get learned here. Maybe that's where we need to start off.
I agree. I think education is key there. I mean, a lot of people think that everyone is starving in Africa. There's no internet. There's no movie theaters. There's nothing. It's a barren wasteland of famine and pestilence, and no one should ever go to Africa. I mean, a lot of people I talk to have that mentality.
I mean, if I watched news every day, I wouldn't go to Africa myself. But you'd be surprised that even despite all the media stories that are coming out particularly out of Kenya right now, the people who are flying there, who are from there, and who have a more ground. They're still willing to fly. They're still willing to pick up and go. My study right now is focusing on urban studies and economics, and I'm focusing on exposing colonial cities in a modern light. And what I mean by this is sort of taking a city like Nairobi, which probably was planned around the time that we were under the British and is still operating on the same infrastructure today, and sort of trying to frame the city as a sort of a growing, expanding, living being, and thinking about African cities. I think a lot of people need to keep more current images and a wider spread of images. For instance, when people think about New York, for instance, they think about all and about Times Square. They think they've seen those images. They keep being repeated in news stories and in movies and so on. So I think there's a real need for stories that come out of Africa and tell more than just the stories that are going on, that are real crises, that are causing real problems among people, but also the stories like thinking about the internet. And there are a lot of people who perhaps didn't have access to computers, but now use mobile phones, and they sort of jumped over the divide, the digital divide in terms of being able to use technology, and that's an important part of what's coming out of Africa.
Yes, it does seem to be that we. I know certainly Kenya is big right now. It's in the media. I watched this hideous picture of a young child with a machete taken by an Associated Press reporter, and that was one of those issues that kind of jars you. You're like, wow, things really are different down there. It's a totally different reality, and I think a lot of people are just afraid of that.
I think that it's true that there are a lot of places, even here in the American United States, that are definitely frightening, that people might not necessarily want to watch. And there's it's very easy to assume that there aren't enough media sources. And what I'm trying to do, and I know a lot of other Kenyan bloggers and other African bloggers, and people from all other parts of the world are trying to sort of give an alternative picture of the cities and the countries that they come from, to try and connect people who are outside of their region and start conversations and start dialogue that needs to happen on the ground. And I think that needs to happen a lot.
Yeah, well,
Before we had go ahead.
I was just going to say, as I've learned before from you in our previous interview, there's almost as there's an African or a Kenyan blogging community that has the same goal in mind.
Yes, there is. There's Kenyan bloggers collaborate started as a blog of teen bloggers who were interested in writing stories that some were mostly tied around Kenya and Africa. There's also there's an active blog collaborate that's also very active around women who are blogging on different issues. And I've noticed that there are other clusters going around colleges and universities and going out to social networking sites such as Facebook and MySpace. And there's an incredible amount of synergy that people are getting together to talk about their areas.
Yes, well, I heard someone tell me that maybe the internet is the ultimate solution to our problems in the world. Maybe now with this kind of technology, things will start getting done. I was just saying that with this internet community, maybe it's possible now that things will actually start happening now that everyone can get connected and do things.
Oh, absolutely. I knew that in places where, for instance, that they're getting computers and for instance, the town center, people are able to get email addresses and they check periodically. And there's a lot of interest behind people in communities in Kenya, where I've done most of my traveling, and in Uganda as well. I've traveled there, and they're very interested in establishing links to the outside world and reading news and engaging in chat and so on, and just being able to connect with people from the rest of the world. I mean, 10 years ago, you knew that there's a pen pal in some part of the world, and now it's more common to exchange email addresses and back and